Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on our authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is TONYA LEAMON, and I am the author of the book While the World Was Paused. It's a kid's book for beginner readers. So I just wanted to take a second and thank you all for taking your time out of your busy days and coming to listen to my story and the story of my book and my character, Bruce. So a little bit about myself. I am a physical therapist assistant by trade who works in a long-term care facility. I have been doing that job for about 8 years now. I have 2 kids and 1 rowdy Rottweiler. I have been writing small little short stories kind of things since I was a kid, more so in my middle school and high school years. So to give you a little bit of background about the book, it's called While the World Was Paused. It's about a boy named Bruce and his family, and it's looking kind of at the beginning time of COVID, kind of when everything kind of very quickly shut down, and we were all having to just stay home and be with our families. And so it looks at that time and kind of what Bruce learned about himself, about what he learned about his mom and his dad and his siblings. So that's kind of what this book is about. Kind of what I wanted everybody to get out of this book is just the importance of family, and how important it is to, find yourself, learn about your family, learn about your friends, things like that. So that's kind of one of the key things that I really wanted to project out of this book. And also just taking the time to do all those small things and slowing down in our lives. I feel like before COVID, we were all even now, we're all very busy running from point A to point B to point C, and just forgetting to slow down and enjoy sitting on the couch, watching a movie with our kids or our grandkids. And sometimes we miss that stuff. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to get positively out of COVID and out of this book. It's just that reconnection with your family and taking that time to slow down and enjoy the small things. That also helps us to learn about new things that we forgot that we liked, or new things that we didn't know we liked. So that's another good thing that I felt kind of came out of COVID in this book. So some of the things that that we learned during COVID also is kind of that we're not alone. I mean, we all kind of were in our own little bubbles, kind of to say, during COVID, especially if you were the ones that were quarantined at home 24 hours a day. So yeah, we're not alone in all of this. We all went through COVID, and we all experienced it a little differently than each individual one. Because I mean, I know me as an essential worker, I never stopped going to work. So that didn't change much for me, but it did change for my kids, because I mean, they went from going to school Monday through Friday and having their friends over every night to being at home and doing online school, and then just only having each other to play with in the evenings. So that was a lot of big difference for them. It did help a lot that we had neighbors and friends that were willing to call them and check on them during the day if we needed something while I was gone. So that was very helpful. So yeah, COVID changed us in a lot of ways as well. So I don't think it didn't affect anybody, or did not affect anybody in some way or another, good, bad, or indifferent. So, okay, to share a little bit about Bruce. This is the cover of my book. This is Bruce here. So one of the reasons why I chose to put the world on the front of the book is because this is a global issue with COVID and the pandemic, and not just a United States issue or a Canada issue or a Europe issue. This is a world issue. We all kind of went through it, so I wanted to make sure that the globe was on there to kind of symbolize the fact that this is not a one country issue. This is a global issue that we have all gone through, and we can all relate in some way or another to something that happened to Bruce, or something that Bruce talks about in the book. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that the globe was on there. So with each page that I wrote and drew, I kind of wanted to be very thoughtful about what was either in the pictures or in the words, just to make sure that the point that I wanted to make and the feelings that I was feeling were being portrayed the way I wanted them to be portrayed. So I wanted to make sure that, the details were correct. I had a group of family and friends that worked on this book with me. They were my critiquers. It was like, hey, it might look better if, this picture was a little changed a little here, or if we changed this word to this word. So this is no means just my project. I, relied on them as well. Also, so if you note at the bottom, it says the illustrations are by J. Rose. Even though I just told you that I did all the drawings, I did all the drawings. And the reason that it says J. Rose instead of my name is because I drew them and my mom painted them. So we didn't want to have one person take the credit for our work together. And we didn't want to have a long title on the front of the book. So we decided to make a surname. So it is our joint names together. So that way we can both take credit for the part that we did together. So to give you a look at the inside of the book. So this is one of the first pages. This first page is going to introduce you to Bruce, and it's going to start out by just saying my name is Bruce, and I wanted to show you some things that I have learned while I was in quarantine with my family. So then on the next subsequent pages, it's going to go through and give you a topic about each page. So on this page, it says that I learned that it is important to wash your hands a lot. So then in the picture, it shows that he's, probably the 20 millionth time he's been to the bathroom to, wash his hands. So I try and make little funny remarks throughout the book from time to time. To share another page with you. This page, it says that my neighborhood has a lot of different kinds of people in it. So on this page, I tried to think of not only where I live, but also where other people live as well, which is kind of why it's a city scene. I'm a country kid, so it's kind of harder to draw a lot of houses that are, miles apart. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to draw a city scene rather than a country scene, just to also include, all the people that, this is their environment as well. So I tried to include lots of different kinds of things in the picture. And I tried to be very detailed about the picture as well. A question from Cheryl. Is this project a therapeutic process for you due to your own personal experience with the pandemic? Kind of, yes. I was able to kind of express some of the things that we've learned or my kids have learned or their friends, something like that. I always like to do drawings and writings and things like that as an outlet. So at the very beginning, this just started out as a bunch of little notes. And so then like the little sentences and notes kind of grew from there. And it was like, okay, I wrote things down, and it just kind of was one of those things that was, bugging in my brain. So it's like, all right, I'll work on this. Let's see kind of what that looks like as a picture. So then I, just kind of sketch out something. And my mom asked me one day what I was doing. So I showed it to her, and she was like, that's a good idea. Keep going at it. So that's kind of, I was like, all right, we'll keep working at it. And I kind of finished it a little bit and shared it back with her and shared it with my aunts and my friends. And I was like, what do you think about this? Is this an idea that we could work on? Is this a stupid idea? What do you think? So everybody was very excited about it, which is one thing that I love about my support system, is that they are always behind me in every way and every form. So I kept working at it and trying to perfect it a little more because I wanted to make sure that it was what I wanted to say exactly before I even thought about giving it to a publisher or anything like that, which was very scary to me to even think that I would submit something like this, because it's very much out of my element to do that. So I went ahead and did that. I submitted it to 3 different publishers that we had found, and they all came back with exuberance of yeses. So after that, then it was trying to just figure out which publisher we wanted to go with. Ultimately, I went with Fulton Books out of Pennsylvania. They've been very good about helping me and guiding me as a new author about what I needed to do when. So that's been very helpful for me. It is still very much of a learning for me as far as, promoting my book and getting the word out, getting just learning what all I need to do when I need to do it, as far as getting everybody to know who I am and who Bruce is. So, which the people at Reader's Magnet and the Festival of Storytellers, this is an awesome experience that I've had with them. And I very much appreciate them giving me the opportunity to join them. I will also be joining them in April for the Los Angeles Times Book Fair. So that will be my first in-person book fair. So that will be very exciting for me to be able to travel there and be able to meet other authors and other people in this field. So that's very exciting to me to be able to do that. So the whole book in itself took me a little over a year to write. Just from the ideas to the sketching to, you know, the tons and tons of editing and redoing the pictures from time to time, just changing mediums and making sure that it worked with the publishing company, things like that. And then, of course, you know, it takes, you know, 3 or 4 months to get through publishing and editing on their end as well. So all in all, it took me a little over a year to get it from idea to in hand, which seems like a really long time when you're in that year. But looking back, it's like, wow, it only took a year. That doesn't seem like a ton of time. I am working on the sequel to While the World Was Paused. It's called Unpausing the World. That book looks at kind of the next phase of COVID. So when we were starting to open back up and being able to go back out again. So revisiting your park, you know, getting to go to the pharmacy, getting to go to the grocery store and the doctor's office, going to your favorite restaurant. So that book kind of looks a little more at redoing all those things that we did before and remembering why we love them so much is kind of the point that I wanted to get out of that part as well, as long as, you know, the family aspect of it as well. So just learning to re-love the things that we liked before. So just reconnecting with yourself and your family is kind of the point out of the next book. So hopefully we can get that done pretty quickly. It's got, I think, 1 more page of illustrations left, and then it goes to the painting aspect of it and then to the publisher. So I'm hoping to have that one out by hopefully the mid of next year. So that way you guys can enjoy that one as well, and you can learn what Bruce was up to during that phase. There's also a couple points in there just of, you know, the way we did things newly during COVID. So I know, like, from where I'm from, we, instead of having a birthday party, we had a birthday parade. So like the birthday person and their family, they would stand in the lawn and maybe have a birthday banner out, and, you know, all their family and friends would drive down the road with banners and balloons and music and all kinds of things, you know, just going down the road. So that was one thing that, like, we did differently during COVID. So I kind of wanted to put that in there as well. So that way in 10 years, when we are reading this book to the next generation, we can be like, oh yeah, I remember when we did this. And that will spark some of those memories and ideas that we can share with the next generation. A question from Kathleen. It says, do you think we'll ever go back to the old normal? I don't think we'll ever go back to completely the old normal again. I think just kind of like we have done before, kind of the growing and the changing. I think that we'll just adapt new ways of doing things. I don't think we'll ever go back to completely the way it was before. I do feel like eventually that, we'll lose the masks and the things like that. But I don't think we'll ever go back to completely the way it was before. Just because, that's not life. We learn and we grow and we learn to do things in a new way. So I think that is part of just growing and learning to do things in a new way. So so one of the reasons why I chose to use the word pause rather than the word stop in the title is because I felt like we didn't really stop life. We paused it and we were kind of waiting to see what was happening next, because at the very beginning of COVID, we were literally waiting, sometimes days, sometimes hours even, about what the new mandate was and what was something, what the new rule was and what we could do and what we couldn't do. And it was literally changing from hour to hour some days. So that was one of the reasons why I chose the word paused rather than the word stop, because I didn't feel like we didn't really stop living. We just paused and waited until we knew what we could do next. So that was one of the reasons why I chose that word. It did take me a little while to try to figure out exactly the words that I wanted to put as the title, just because I wanted to make sure, again, that I portrayed my thoughts and my feelings through that part. Right now, you can go and get my book online only for now through Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Target. You can get them in hardback, in softback, and in the Kindle form. I have been trying to get them into brick and mortar buildings for a little while. It does take a little bit of effort and work on my part just to go back and talk to each place and be like, hey, I'm a local author. Can you get this on the shelf? Hey, I'm a local author. Can you get this on the shelf? So some of the times it takes a little bit of time for them to go through the corporate office, whatever, to kind of get them onto the brick and mortar store. So hopefully eventually it'll be in every store across the country. That would be one of my biggest accomplishments. I think I would love to see someday, is to get it out. And so that way everybody can hear Bruce's story and what he learned. One of the things that I really encourage people to do after they've read the book is to ask those open-ended questions at the end. With whoever you're reading it to, your kids, your grandkids, your students, whoever that might be, to just say, okay, what's something that you learned during COVID, or what's an experience that you had during COVID? And then let them ask you questions as well. It's like, what was your favorite thing to do as a kid? Let's engage that conversation so we can learn not only about ourselves, but something about them that maybe we didn't know. Maybe we didn't know that your kid didn't like the color green or something like that. It's just all those times that we can open up that line of communication is that much more time that we can learn about the people that we're closest to. So that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do at the end, is to ask those questions. So don't feel shy about asking questions, because I will answer them as quickly as I can. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about the inside of this book. Okay. So on this page is one of my favorite pages, I think, mostly just for the words that are on it. I think it's kind of funny, just because I tried to put little funny phrases in occasionally, just to kind of break up the things so you giggle and, you know, talk about the funny things. So it says that my sister won't die without her cell phone, which I mean is oftentimes because I mean she's a teenager, obviously, and he's a little bit of a younger kid. Which I know a lot of our teenagers and things like that kind of go through that phase, and we've all been through there, but just attached to the phone. So this again just kind of reiterates the family time and just being out in nature as well, which you can see the phone over here buzzing. So yeah, that's kind of the point out of this page is that, you know, we're not going to, you know, physically die without, you know, our connection to the world. Is my book available in Audible? It is not available in Audible just yet. I have thought about putting it on Audible. I haven't gotten to that phase yet, but it is an idea that I have started to look into. So hopefully one day it will be available on audio as well. So on this page over here, I really feel like the details in this page are very good. My mom is very good about going in and making sure that all the details are in there. So sometimes you'll find little flowers or just extra little details that she decided to put in. So on this page, it says that it's more fun to race my brother outside than on the television. So what I kind of wanted out of this, again, is just to get out and away from that technology kind of thing. Not that the technology isn't great. I'm loving that I can sit here and have a conversation with people all over the world right now. It is great for that. But I do feel like at some point we do need kind of a break from it. Just to kind of, you know, reconnect with those people around you and those that are in your house. You know, sometimes we forget that we need to take that time and just reconnect not only with ourselves and give our minds a break, but those in our household as well. Question: are you open for book tours in the near future? I do actually have one booked for April of next year. I will be going with Reader's Magnet to the Los Angeles Times Book Fair. I did think about doing the one in Arizona, but I just can't take that much time off of work. But yes, I am open to doing some actually one-on-one in-person book fairs as well. So as I learn about more of them coming up, then, you know, I will gladly take those into consideration as well, just so I can help get Bruce out there and share his story with everybody in the world. So, but yes, I'm very open to doing more virtual book fairs and in-person book fairs. So as soon as I can get more information about that. I have a comment. Oh, yes, I agree with you. It says, yes, I agree with you, taking or talking to someone and pretending you are in the 90s. Yeah, that would be great if I could go back to the 90s or even the 80s and pretend to live back there again. Because I feel like that generation is, you know, one of the better ones, just because, I mean, I grew up in that generation and we had lots of experiences, you know, without the phone and, you know, without all the technology all the time. You know, you had to use your brain and your imagination. And sometimes I think the kids of this generation kind of forget how to do that. So, yeah. So I know with my kids, I try and limit their tech time. Just so they get, you know, family stimulation, or they, you know, go outside and do a chore or ride your bike or do something, play with your friends. just to kind of break that up, because I mean, I know I can get, I just don't feel the right when I'm, in my technology all day long. So that's one of the reasons, like, I really encourage my kids to, just have that time allotment of tech time. So yeah, I feel like this generation's kind of missing out of the outside world. So, yeah, so to kind of share a little bit about the illustrations, they were done by me and my mom, even though it does say on the front of the cover a different illustrator's name. Since we both kind of collaborated on them together, we didn't want to kind of steal each other's thunder. We didn't want a long title on the front, so we did decide to do a pseudonym name, which is why that is on there. Oh, that would be a good idea. It said to do a book on the 90s kids generation. That would definitely be an idea to do. I could add that to my long lineup. So after I finish with Unpausing the World, I have other books in line to either finish or to start. We have been working on a book for a while, actually, probably before even pausing the world, or while the world was paused. We had, it might sound strange to some people, but we had a pet chicken that we rescued because, I'm a country kid. And so we started writing down all the little funny things that, the chicken did and things like that. So we kind of made up a book about, kind of what the chicken felt, how it, it fell off a chicken truck and was having to, run through the streets and, avoid all the buggies and the horse hooves and the tires and things like that. So, and then, having to live in a world of giants and things like that. So, I have several other books as well. My son writes books as well. He's 7. So I want to try and get his books in the publishing process too. So, I have lots of ideas and projects coming up. So hopefully I can, someday just be an author. That would be an awesome idea to me, to just be able to enjoy my family and do one of the things that I really, really enjoy. Through my day job, I do really enjoy doing that as well. It's also been a very, a good passion of mine for the last 8 years, and hopefully, many more years to come, as well as because I'm a physical therapist assistant. So helping people to achieve those goals after they've been sick or they've been injured, and getting to see them come in a wheelchair and walk out of the building, or, hop out of the building is what I've had one person do. Just to see those people achieve their goals really did help me to kind of push me to achieve my goals as well. And kind of get this book off the ground. So I've had lots of inspirations and people's support as for getting this out and even just up and running kind of thing. So that's very helpful to me to have all of that support from just family and friends. So when I first started writing the book, I kind of kept it to my small little circle of friends and my little critiquers. So then once it was out and kind of in physical form, I was able to, I chose to share it with everybody. So I made a little Facebook post or whatever, and told everybody that this available. This is what's kind of been going on, and to have the support from so many people that I haven't seen in, 10, 12 years from school, or, friends that I had when I was a kid. And to see their support, and they're wanting to be like, okay, I want to go buy it. Where do I go get it? Where do I get it? And just to have all of their support was amazing to me, which is one of the reasons why I really cherish all those family things and family time. So, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to make that a point in this book, just because I think sometimes we forget that. We're just too wrapped up in getting from, point A to point B to point C, go to bed, get up, do it all over again. And we just lose it in the rush of daily life. So I think it's very much that we just have to be very conscious, very effortful some days to get that family time in there. With acute scoliosis. Let me think about that for a second. I usually have people do actually stretches for the front. You actually want to make sure that you're stretching the front of you and the back as well. Just because when you're scrunching over, all these muscles get short. So trying some pectoral stretches is a good place to start. To share a few more pages out of here. So let me share the last page with you to kind of reiterate that family experience. So this is the very last page of the book. So it shows Bruce and his family here, and then like grandparents over here, and then this is supposed to represent like an aunt and an uncle, and this would be like a cousin. So just to kind of show you like this importance of having a small knit family. So Bruce's last point in the book, it says, but most importantly, I learned that my family is the most important thing to me. So just like everybody else, Bruce had kind of forgotten that aspect in his busy life, going to sports and school and being with his friends. He kind of forgot that, I really like spending time with my brother. I really like spending time with my sister or my parents. So, I mean, it's something that we all have to consciously really work on is, spending all those times, with our family and our friends. Sorry, I'm getting a cold. But yeah, one of the important things that I wanted people to kind of get out of reading this book is looking and remembering the small things in life, enjoying the walk through the woods and how much the colorful leaves or the smell of the grass, just taking the time and kind of reconnecting to nature and yourself, just kind of disconnecting from even just the world for 5 minutes to kind of just regroup and, re-energize your body. It's okay to slow down. I know the world kind of wants us to be in fast motion all the time and, being the best at, everything. But it is really important to just slow down and, enjoy those little things in life and enjoy the family and, just not having to worry so much about getting everything done every day. And then just the importance of family. So those are kind of the things that I wanted to get out of this book and even out of just the whole event of COVID. I always try and look at things in a positive way. So looking at the glass half full rather than half empty. So even though we've had, a tough time with COVID and lots of things have changed, we've lost of people. So lots of negative things have happened during COVID, but, also lots of positive things have happened during COVID as well. So I think that making us slow down and reconnect and figuring out new ways to do things is very helpful to all of us. Just physically, mentally, all those things. I know that it also had a lot of negative aspects mentally and physically as well. So just trying to look at the world in a positive light rather than a negative light, I think will help that as well. Oh, thank you for that comment. But yeah, so one of the things that I want to make sure that people do, especially at the end or even throughout the book, is to ask those questions with whoever you're reading it to. So if you're reading it to your students at school, ask them, like, go around the room, name something that you learned during COVID. What's an experience that you did, or what's something that you did at your house during COVID. I know one of the things that I had my kids do to kind of cure boredom or whatever is we made obstacle courses through the whole house. We rearranged furniture and put cans on the floor and just, strung streamers from the walls, things like that, just to kind of make a fun obstacle course, just to kind of, cure that boredom and, get some of that energy out. So I would always try and think of, different games and things like that to kind of cure the boredom and break up the monotony, things like that. So hopefully in 5 years, when they look back, they can remember, all the fun obstacles and things that we did or games that we played during that time. One of the other things that I know I did during COVID is since I was an essential worker and I had to go to work every day, it wasn't too much of a big deal for me to go to the store. Whereas it was a big deal for my grandma to go to the store or my elderly neighbors to go to the store. So I would just tell them, okay, if you need something from the store, I'm going to the store on, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So if you need something, give me a list. I will gladly go and get it for you. Just to kind of keep down their exposures. So just trying to be helpful and neighborly as well, and protect them as much as I possibly could. So that was one of the things I know that I tried to do during COVID, is just to try and limit other people's exposures if I could. So, which I know is kind of hard for a lot of people. I know lots of people did that in different ways as well, which I applaud every one of you for, doing your part in with whatever you were doing during COVID and protecting yourselves and your families as well. I know this has not been a easy journey in any way. And we all can applaud ourselves and pat ourselves on the back for doing a good job so far. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to use the word paused on the front of in the title, just because I didn't feel like we never stopped living during COVID. I just felt like we kind of took a pause from kind of reality and normal life. So that's one of the reasons why I chose to use the word pause rather than stop, just because I felt like we didn't really stop living. We just were paused, waiting to see, what was next, what the mandate was going to be next, so that we knew what kind of things we could do, and kind of what was still going on in the world around us. So I don't feel like we ever really stopped living. I just feel like we kind of paused and we're waiting to see what was next, just happening and what we could and couldn't do. So the next book in the series is called Unpausing the World. And it kind of looks at the second half of COVID, kind of when it kind of got a little more opened up, and we were able to kind of go out into the world a little more, and not just go to the grocery store or the gas station. So I know for a while, like the parks and things were all closed. So it kind of, on one page it says, we were able to go back to the park and really and enjoy that again. We were able to have like a friend over again. So enjoying all of those things that we took for granted before, and learning that we really liked doing those things. So learning to kind of re-love what we loved before and remembering why we loved them before. So just that book is a little more reconnecting as well to ourselves and those around us. So that book I hope to have out by the middle of next year, hopefully, as long as everything stays on track. But yeah, that book is also written and illustrated by me and my mom. So hopefully we can have that one out so you guys can enjoy that one as well. That one will be called Unpausing the World. So that then, yeah, it just kind of looks at kind of more of the when it was opening up. So to share. Okay, so to share a few of these pages. So this first page, it kind of looks at kind of how we did weddings during COVID. So, nobody could go to your wedding or your birthday party or things like that. So on this page, sorry, there's a glare. It kind of looks at, them enjoying a wedding while they're, sitting at home. So this I just wanted to make sure that we kind of remembered some about how things were different during COVID. So that way in 10 years, we can look back and be like, yeah, I remember when, Aunt Sally got married and we had to watch it on the TV rather than go to Colorado and watch it. So that's kind of what I wanted to portray and remember out of this page. So then in this page, it's just going back to school. So I wanted to also put in there, that everybody's wearing their masks and they're sitting behind their little plastic shields here. So that's kind of what this book is a little bit about, is showing that we are able to do the same things as we were doing before, just in a new and a different way. So that way when we can look back at in 10 or 5 years and share that with our next generation, that it can once again open that line of communications and be like, what was it like to go to school with and wear a mask every day, all day? What did that feel like? Isn't that hot? So that's one of the things that I really wanted to get out of this book as well, is, that next generation of, revisiting the memories and the stories that this time has kind of given us. So that way, we don't forget kind of what happened. I mean, we might forget the little things, but hopefully this book will help you remember those little pieces. That we really loved to, go to this one specific park when we were a kid, and kind of what that felt like, and share that with the next generation. So that's kind of a little bit about this book and the next book. You guys have any questions for me about myself or the book? I will gladly answer anything you would like. Oh, you can follow me on Instagram. I do have a page for the book. It's called Pause the World. So if you would like to go to that, I will try and keep that up to date from time to time as far as what things are coming up. and new things that will be happening as far as the next book goes, and kind of where that is in the process as well. So that is one way to follow Bruce's story after the Festival of Storytellers. So hopefully I can, hear all of your stories as well through of COVID and what things have happened to you. I'm always interested in hearing those stories and, hearing everybody's feedback after they've read my book as well. So that would be one way of sharing those stories with me, and I would love to hear them all. Or even other story ideas. I love to hear them all. Okay. Sorry, but I lost my train of thought. So some of the inspiration that I had for the book was just for my kids and also other people's kids around me as well. Just trying to think about how much it disrupted their lives and how much it made them just change so quickly overnight. As far as, things that they were not able to do anymore. I kind of felt like the kids kind of got a little bit more of a raw end of the deal as far as, what they can and can't do, because their whole lives are centered around, going to school and seeing their friends, where, at least as an adult, I know with my experience, I was able to go to work and kind of, get out of the house, where they were kind of, restricted to being at home all the time. I know at least with my kids, with being in the country at that time, they were able to at least go outside and get some fresh air. Whereas, people living in the city or, in a bigger town or whatever, they didn't have that luxury all the time. They couldn't just go outside and, play in the yard and play on their swing set. They didn't have that option because, they don't have that space. Which I kind of felt like, kind of robbed kids of, at least, a year or so of their lives of just being kids. So that was kind of one of the inspirations to get out of for this book, is just to kind of share their stories about what kind of happened with their world. So I do hope that everybody enjoys this book, that they do share it with their family and their friends and their students, and that it does engage all those open-ended questions and conversations to help you learn more and more about not only yourself, but those around you. Maybe you'll learn something that you never would have learned before. I know playing with my kids outside the one day, it was dark. It was, I think, early spring. And all of a sudden, my son was just standing there mesmerized in the yard. And I'm like, what are you looking at? And he goes, there's lightning bugs. I didn't know there was such a thing as a lightning bug. What are these things? And I guess I just never realized that, he didn't know what they were. So it was interesting to learn that, something that I thought he knew, he actually didn't know. So it was fun to, introduce him to that, even though it was just a bug. It was nice to introduce him to those things. So just, keeping that line of communication open between everybody around you, I think, is very key to life and just learn. Taking the times to do those small things, even if it takes 5 minutes out of your day, just to kind of regroup, connect with yourself, someone else, doing those kind things for other people, things like that. Just, I mean, it's not only good for yourself, it's good for your soul, it's good for your mind. Just remembering to slow down and enjoy the little things. Kind of like we did when we were, in those 80s and 90s years. We hung out outside. We enjoyed, playing in the stream and remembering how it felt, to have little tadpoles climb between your toes and things like that. So introducing, this generation to that as well, I think is something that they really need sometimes. Get them out of that, technology age. Technology is not bad in any way, but I do think we all need a break from it from time to time to just, connect with ourselves, connect with nature, things like that. So that's kind of my little philosophy on life, and what I wanted everybody to kind of get out of this book as well is just that importance of family and the small things in life, and remembering why you love things in the first place. So if there's any last minute questions, please ask them. So to kind of go over again, you can go to the store or go online right now and get the book, which is available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target currently. They have it in hardback, softback, and in Kindle form at this point. I have kind of toyed with the idea of auditory books, but just haven't crossed that bridge just yet. So I do really encourage you to go out and get this book, introduce it to yourselves and your kids, and, just enjoy Bruce's conversations and what he's learned to help you open up those conversations as well. And someday I would love to hear all of those stories from everybody. Your experiences during COVID, your experiences with reading the book, things that, you learned about your kids or your students through this book. I just hope that that's what everybody gets out of this book as well. Yes, it would make an awesome Christmas present. Glad as it does. I actually ordered a new set the other day, and it didn't take but just a few days to get here from Amazon. So yes, they will be out in plenty of time for Christmas. And I hope and pray that you guys all will do that and spread the word of Bruce and family and things like that. I thank you very much for all of your time. And I hope that you guys all have a great evening and enjoy the rest of the Festival of Storytellers and are able to sit and listen to others' stories as well. Well, I thank you and God bless you. Have a good night.